Should we start that again? Needs to be. Apologies there. So good morning. Hi, I'm Teresa Jando from Tree Heart Art Design Authentic, or the Love Authentic Me on Facebook and YouTube pages of the same name. So welcome. This is my Feel Good Friday session of energy session as energy circle for us to manifest the reality that we like. So manifesting circle and intention setting. So each week we've been doing a different thing, Qigong based stuff that's I intuit, that I've been using in my own life to help you shift things in your life to connect to your creative self. And wherever you are on this session, although I'm recording this on my Feel Good Friday to lift my spirits for wherever I am or wherever you are where you are, and that is okay. That's the most important lesson I want you to take away from this. The idea is that we raise your frequency, we raise your vibration. If you even know what I'm on about, we learn all about that throughout these sessions. Each week will be slightly different. Some stuff we will be repeating. It's the stuff that you should be doing daily, or I say could, as Louise L. Hay would say. The coulds, they're options for you to take to help you feel better, to move from where you are and shift your energy into a better feeling place. So, as I said, each week we do something differently. And at the moment, I'm not being able to take you out as I had in the first session. Technical difficulties. So there's not a lot of space in here. We're going to stick to, you might not have a lot of space where you are. So that said, today's session, we're still going to do some tapping, well, let's just start. We need to go into it. Let's just start with you. So in the background, I've got some theta music playing. So what is theta? What am I talking about when I talk about music? Brain waves. That's exactly what they are. They are brain waves. They are synchronized music or sound that can invoke a brainwave state. Now, you might have heard of these ones before: beta, theta, and delta. Delta is brilliant for relaxation and sleep. So delta is the brainwave that you want to utilize when you're going to get restful, peaceful night's sleep. So if you are looking on YouTube, you can do this. Is something you can look up. So I suggest listening to that before going to bed. Theta is our expanding, our opening mind. Well, in this now moment, so wherever you're viewing this today, or you're viewing this in 6 months or a year's time, when I've just been recording this, I've just experienced a full moon in Pisces. So you might have done too if you're viewing this around that same time. But Pisces energy is the expansive. Now, when I talk about manifesting and I talk about astrology, I often think, and I used to think this myself, hang on a minute, if you're saying that this and this is going to happen, then aren't you creating that to happen? Aren't you creating that possibility? And I like to now think about the cosmology of astrology and the archetypal energy that we put to each of the 12 zodiac signs. And there are more signs than 12. There are definitely more planets. And if you think about the Earth and the science behind this, this is how I like to explain it. I'm an ambassador to Heart Math, so I love knowing all about the science and technology behind this esoteric energy. The Earth itself has a magnetic core which creates a magnetic field around it from the iron within it. We too have a magnetic core from the iron within our blood that goes round us, the toric field. You might have heard of the chakras. If you haven't, then we will go into more basics. I think I will touch on each of these, and we'll maybe work over the weeks that we're together. We will work through each of the chakras, because each of these are a portal, if you think about it. Maybe I'm getting a bit too deep too fast for you, but just briefly, and we will discuss this in later videos, but each of these areas of our body, as I said, we've got this field around us, has different fields associated with different aspects. Now, by connecting and by aligning these, you can utilize how you manifest things. So you may have heard of the book The Secret, you may be a fan of Abraham Hicks. However you come to viewing creating your own reality and energy shifting, those are just two of many, many people that talk about manifesting. Lots of people think about things. When I used to teach in my vision board workshops, I used to get lots of people that used to think vision boards were, right, if we think it, if we build it, they will come. That kind of aspect of which, like Buddha, our thoughts become things. That is part of it. That's the mind, the universal mind. But there's different steps to actually creating that and becoming the creator. In one of my blogs, I'm not going to go too much into this now. If you on my IGTV, I was talking about this the other day in a video when I did a little reveal, and then I was mentioning going over my revision about the spider and the web. And the ancients used to use the spider, and we're going a little bit for this. The ancients used to use in Atlantean times, so I'm talking 13,000 years ago, which to some, this is stretching their views on things, because for them, that's not the normal mainstream narrative of how our history was set. But this is being challenged more and more now. We've got evidence in Turkey of I can never pronounce this right, so please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing. Bibliotech. Anyway, the ancient site in Turkey, which is 8,000 years old, which is older than the pyramids, it pushes in there of the current reconstruction of the pyramids, because the pyramids themselves were actually built 13,000 years ago in amongst the glacier period. But the ancients would rebuild things. They didn't, they upcycled things. They didn't think, well, we mustn't touch it, we won't just do, but they had a different view of things. Things were in cycles. So for them, so the current, I wouldn't say incarnation, but the current, what stands there has been rebuilt. It's been fixed up. It's been like we do with our paintings now. We will work on ancient masters and we would touch up and give it oh God, the word's escaping me. Oh, it's not coming. Anyway, so basically, because I'm digressing and I want us to get back into some actual shifting, timelines of when we learn things, the ancients would explain how reality worked within using that of a spider web. If you think of those of us that are just living our lives, not aware, unaware of energy, think of the spiders, the fly trapped in the web. And I say trapped because trapped is the perception. If you are a fly that's in a web, you think of it as being caught by the spider. However, we want to enact becoming the spider, the one that creates the web, the web around us. But in order to do this, we must first realize that we are the fly, that we are within the web, we are within this context. And the context meaning tissues within the body, things that are filaments of each other, the reality of our universe. And that's what energy is. That's what makes us into energy. We are a combination of light. So on the macro scale, you break it down to the particles and you break them down and you go into smaller and smaller and smaller scale. We are literally light with space going ping, 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 negative, positive, with this energy. As well as we are made of water. Water's moved by the tide. So when I talk about the archetypal energy, we are like the trees in effect. We still are affected to the light, although they feed and nourish themselves from that light. We've learned a quicker way of doing that is to eat the trees that have already done it, so we don't have to then do that ourselves. And then we thought, well, the animals were eating that, we would eat them as well. So that's how that kind of evolved, and we evolved on this planet when you go back billions of billions from the microscopic. However, we still have that understanding from the ancients that we can still utilize and understand the light within our body. And if you think about the tides, how it moves by the moon, and that's just a small example of how the moon, which has a 28-day cycle, shifts that which is on this planet, i.e. the water. Well, we are, ourselves are 90% or over 90% waters. So we are moved by that in a way. We are affected by that energy. Well, the other planets have the same effect. And what happened many, many, many thousands of years ago is people started to make a note of those changes around those times and that would happen in those times. And to understand and to share that knowledge, they gave it a story behind it. So they linked it to mythology, and that's how we have the concepts of astrology. Each of the things that were given to them were given because of the energy and the things that they're associated with. And that can affect us. But we can also utilize that and that understanding of that to invoke, to embody those energies how we want to in our own lives, to push us forward, to move us forward, to create the reality around us that we want. So how we do that can have an effect. So when I talk about the expansiveness of the Piscean, the opening up, that compassion, it's a beautiful energy to open up to. With the new beginnings as well was another one which I work with and utilize in my workshops if you want to join me for the new moon. So we work with what I call neurological goal setting. So we're working with shifting with these brain waves that are open and how we access these different states and alter what people refer to sometimes as altered states, and how you can do that. So sound and frequency is one of the biggest and quickest ways you can open up to that. And so I want to talk about beta. And beta is the sort of everyday wave, but theta. Theta is this expansiveness, the opening up to your connective, creative self. So for the last 15 minutes, today I'd like us to do a visualization. Very similar to what I do with the meditations that I do on Mondays. But why is this different? Because I want you, right, so I want you to be able to access these states when you're not with me as well, to practice this in the week that we're apart. So the first thing you need to do is just sit and breathe. So close your eyes and become aware of your surroundings. So think and look to what you have around you. Do you have, is there any mess? I've got some piles of paperwork here, for example, that I know I need to go through. Now, when I look at it, my brain says exactly what it just did then. I need to go through that. So my focus instantly goes to that I haven't done that. That is a lack. Yeah. So see that little bit of hair, it's in reverse. That is a lack. When I looked then at myself and I was like, oh, there's a little hair at place. It's the brain. When you're in that brain state, you're observing the things around you. But you're not just observing, you're interacting with what is there, the energy of what is around you. And believe me, my house is certainly not immaculate, and downstairs, the energy of my living room really needs some work. So this is something that I've been working on and working with, and it is a continual process. But it is really important to have a space in your home that is okay for you to come. So even though I've got bits there, I do something called what those shamanists would call smudging. Now, I'm not a shaman or a trained shaman, but I do utilize a lot of practices. I honor the actual herb that I use as the same way that they would, because as I was saying, the things around us have a frequency, they have a sound. And I think I shared on it might have been my personal page, but a video of someone that was with high acoustics. So they're listening to a sunflower leaf, a sunflower, as it resonates a sound, just as color has a frequency. So nature has this beautiful frequency. So while you're in nature and you go for walks for nature, and I want you today, this is your homework, as well as listening each day to before sleep to some delta waves. I want you to start to become aware of the subtle changes between how you feel when you listen to these states and what you feel when you're around. Like nature is a perfect example. So if you can get out today, even if it's for 5 minutes in your garden, flowers, a tree, and spend some time and make note of how you feel, because they're giving off that color that gives a frequency, and they're also, which green is associated with the heart chakra and love and expansiveness of love. And also your brainwave subconscious, which is for everyone, picks up, and your unconscious are picking that up. Even if you're not mentally making a note of that, it's being automatically done. There's so much information around you that your unconscious mind records it all. And for the unconscious, if you were consciously remembering how to talk, to walk, to do, you'd be overwhelmed, which is why it's on auto. But at the same time, you can utilize this too. Lots of people misunderstand and misinterpret the subconscious and the unconscious. The subconscious, think of it as like not just the below the surface iceberg, which is your unconscious, but the subconscious is the ocean itself. It is the access that we all have. The subconscious we can all tap into, like the Akashic. It is uncontrollable though. You need to, if you are going to get into a state to tap into your subconscious, I must, like, warning alert, you must be prepared. You wouldn't just dive into a big ocean if you didn't have a compass. Think of it that way. You need to be anchored before you go delving into that, which is why when you hear about people taking these mind-altering state drugs that tap into those areas, if they haven't dealt with issues which are in their unconscious mind, they will bubble to the surface, and they will, if you aren't ready to deal with them, that can be quite uncomfortable for some people. And for some people, if they aren't equipped to handle it, it's not good for them, which is why if you ever look at doing any of that stuff with the shamanist work, you need a qualified shaman to do that stuff. I really can't emphasize that enough. It's not something I've done myself, but I know people that have, and I know people that state how that can affect people, like really affect people. So hopefully that gives you an idea of that. So you not going to throw yourself into the subconscious, but into the unconscious mind of the things that you yourself, your brain, is picking up. And you can utilize this for your good, to create, to manifest. So what would you and how would you do this? What's a little task I can give you? First is just to opening yourself up to your own subconscious, to have a dialect, to see what bubbles to the surface. And what might come up might be emotion. You might feel like you want to cry, and that's okay. You might feel really angry, and that's okay. The point of the exercise is to make note, to know where you are, because once you know what you are feeling, emotions are energy in motion. They are within you. You're already feeling it. It's already there, whether you're aware of it or not. Becoming aware of it is really key to shifting our emotions. So this is a little bit of a open therapy session this week, because when we start to become aware of energy, before we can become aware of other people's energy and creating the energy and drawing the energy we want, we need to know what we are doing and putting out there. And the simplest way of doing this is to look in your life. For example, if there's lack, then there's a lack belief or lack mentality. That lack is caught up somewhere in you, within your web that is woven around you. So becoming the spider in your life from the fly, you might be the fly and aware that you want to be the spider. But how do you truly become the spider is what I want you to learn. And this takes time and a process of unpicking and delving into our unconscious and facing the fears, the anger, the emotions that we feel. To raise up from that, you need to first accept that every part of that, every emotion, every beautiful, like from here all the way 360 degrees, every angle within you is still this beautiful divine being that you are, that we all are, that makes up the reality of this world. And to create and tap into unity consciousness and that sense of the I am, meaning that which some people call God, universe, source, the I is the individual cell that we are in this reality. If you think of us as the cells of the body of this world, and the world itself is another body with many bodies, us included, living on it, and then the cosmos itself as well. The planet is a cell within the universe of these cells, and it goes on. So a bit expansive, but that's that expansive nature. So the themes for this week, just to recap with you, we've gone over brainwaves and how we are connecting to and taking on information with our unconscious, what lots of people refer to subconscious, which is slightly different. We've learned the subconscious and the unconscious, the difference, hopefully, and we will recap in when we want to tap into that. And that by becoming aware of our own energy and our own energy states, that we can tap into different energy states for the positive. But first, becoming aware of what we have going on. So let's spend some time now. If you haven't already paused and done a little breath work, I can't remember if I said to pause or not, to pause the video. Those in Zoom can just, I'll pause this for us. So just sitting with the self and closing the eyes. I want you to breathe and just acknowledge what you're feeling. Okay, and I'm going to mind the time for you. I want you to spend 5 minutes, which is a rather long time. In fact, that's probably too long if you're a first timer. If you're not a first timer at this, then please do spend longer. If you could spend 15 minutes, then that's great. But I am aware, I'm trying to keep this so you can have these half-an-hour bites each week to tune in, to tap in, to tune into you and connect, so that we can start shifting stuff in your life to move it to where you want to be, to acknowledging where you are where you are, as I always say, and then start creating. But before we can do that, we need to understand the subtleties of the energy that we're resonating at, what our set point is, which is what in September I was working with on my page. That was the challenge. So each month on my page I've set a challenge to help you through these things, and we will elaborate more in our sessions with them. So this is truly how to know what your set point is. So breathing. So listening to me as I'm talking, becoming aware of the sound of my voice, that's becoming aware of the sound that's playing in the background. If you can hear that theta, what can you hear around you? Tuning into, as I say, the totality of our senses, that I learned to do this from Emily Fletcher. So feel, smell, see, taste, touch, hearing, breathing in that smell in your breath, the movement. Okay, just a minute or so, 30 seconds. And I've given you quite a lot to do, but if you want more elaboration on that, you can tune into my YouTube channel. I have many meditations where I start off and go and show you in a more in-depth way. Access to that is free. It's on under the list meditation playlist meditation Monday on at Love Authentically on my YouTube channel app. So I want you to do some figure eights with me. Just moving your fingers. To start with, we're just going to smoothly do it, and then we're going to tap round, working and tapping into the nervous system, moving around the eyes in a motion of a figure eight. Okay, yeah. So have you got that? Now, this is one of the EFT points. It's also one of the Qigong, which has basis in the ancient arts, of which I'm learning the Qigong. So when I say these sessions are based in Qigong, I mean too, but also they're based on what my guides are telling me. So this figure of eight, I was shown by, I first saw it with Colette Baron Reed, but I'm mixing it with the Qigong. So I want you to tap around the eyes in this fashion. In fact, tapping under here is actually really good for the ladies. If you, for eyes, I remember years ago working in the skincare industry, and actually that action helps with bags under eyes and wrinkles. You're meant to put your hand cream on you with these fingers, just gently under there. Okay, well, we're tapping just below that point, but I'm moving around. I'm moving out of this infinity symbol to the tapping. We're going to tap. So the crown pull that Donna Eden teaches, we're going to do a couple of those, but we're not going to do it in the same way. So I've done it 4 times across my forehead. I want you to gently tap down to the temples. And then around all 4 fingers. So you're not doing figure eights, but you're going around the eyes. Down the face. To the next tapping point, which is here, but with both hands. And then back up to the cheeks, to the temples. Now, whilst you're doing this, if you feel any sensation of pain, Qigong is effortless power, okay, and movement, very subtle movements. You are working with the physical and the subtle, the essential, what we refer to more as the esoteric, the energy around you, so you're still within your field. Across the forehead. So if at any point you feel like, I can feel a little bit of tension coming up here that needs shifting, so then I might tap a little bit more on here. And as I tap here, now this point here is the beginning of a meridian that goes round here. We're going to tap down this meridian. Now, you might have seen slap, you might have seen it being traced. We're just going to gently tap, and we're going to keep doing that point, and then we're going to move on to the next point rather than tracing it completely. So here, another good thing to do as well, if you feel any tension, your nails here, this can hurt because this is an acupressure point. So you move from the center of the nose to here. Just hold there for a second and breathe in. Bringing that round. Do that a couple of times if you need to. Again, this, we've been tapping, we're just smoothing around. So you're literally giving yourself a little bit of a facial, an energy facial. And then we're going to go up round here. Again, from the temples and round. Now, if you've got that down, if you can, I want you to add whatever your daily affirmation is. So whatever you're working with at the moment, I know lots of you that are drawn to this will already have affirmations. If you don't, then I am open and receptive to all good. I am magical. And I move and shift with the magic of the universe. Okay, I'm just going to. Now, I just had to fact check this for you. So if you just carry on with that, around the eyes, once, twice, 3 times for luck, around, down here. And then we're going to go down to the bottom this time. Go back up again, around here. Creation, I'm going to read this to make sure I got it right. And this comes from Zachariah, which is a ascended master of what cool that Pam Gregory mentioned that Janet Trulong channels. So he said these words: creation is fueled by magic, and I am a magical being of creation. So I want you to repeat that. Creation is beautiful. I'm going to slightly transform that. Actually, that doesn't feel quite in line with me. So I am a magical creation of creation. And if you can do that while you're tapping, then this needs to be. You don't have to do that. That's just an option for as a nice affirmation. If you want to add yours, then I am worthy. I am enough. I'm just going to go through some that you might want to work with if you're not sure. I am powerful. Looking up at my affirmation board. I am effortlessly wealthy. Right, now I'm moving down to here, and I in myself am feeling some resistance. So you may not be, you may well be feeling it up here. So wherever you feel anything, and by resistance, I want you to start to tune in to what you're actually feeling. And when you do this, if when you're doing this, you start to feel something down here, or you start to feel something up here, this is an indication where you need to move back up to. So if when you're down here, you feel it here, then go back up to doing this again. Okay, but if you're it, so I'm going to continue. You can stop and you can practice this. We're going to stop now. We're going to switch hands. So as Donna Eden would say, and in medicine, we're going to crossing over some of our radiant circuits. But before we do that, so as I always do now, let's just trace down the meridian to start with. So around the ears, down the side of the neck, quite firm, moving slightly, moving down, excuse me, it's the chanting groups that I'm in around the world that are going live to chant. So that's quite nice to know, though, when that goes off, to know there's people sending out love to their communities across the globe. So I've been working, as I mentioned before, with my elbow. You can feel around, there's like a little sort of here. You have to kind of feel into it. You'll feel a knobbly bit there, just for a little bit of pressure. And then moving just around that, circling around it, that bone, gently, just feeling around there, the tissue that's around it. And then moving down from that bone, here, down the inside arm, gently pressing till you get to the meridian points here. And then just pressing. I have one finger one side, one finger this side. And then again, the inside here. Just the other side of the wrist, the hand. Kind of move it around and feels where it's right for you to find that point. You'll feel it. And then this finger here, the one that you would do your eye cream with. Just holding. And then doing the same. on the opposite side, whichever side you did first. Just then do the other one that you haven't done. Turn this so you can see. Okay, so stopping the elbow. Down the hand. And the ring, engagement ring finger, tapping or eye finger, however you want to. Different for different countries, the ring finger. Okay, now we're going to do that same thing, but starting here, moving round. One little circle there. I am a creator. I am part of creation. Creation is magic. Creation is fueled by magic. And I am a magical being of creation. Moving round. Just start to gently tap. You get to here. I want you to tap on K27, which is if you feel the little knobbly bony bits there, just about an inch away. Say, creation is fueled by magic and I am a magical being of creation. Find thumb. Then swapping hands, one at a time. Tap down. I'm doing the right first. You can do your right or your left. It doesn't matter which one. To the end of that point, and then do the same on the other side. Once you've done the other side, I want you then, so you've gone down, come up. The first one you went down, come up on the inside. We're going in reverse. I want you to go down the inside of the other one. Smack. Gently. Hands go down again. Hands on heart for a second whilst you're there and breathe. Tracing round, heart shape round the top of the cleavage if you're a woman, the chest if you're a man, down to the belly button. Before we zip that up, just whilst we're under our chest, our hands are there, just bring them up to the spleen, which is just below. And again, with all hands, tap. Giving yourself a little hug, or if you want to do this separately, tap, or you can do the spleen tap. They both work the same. But I like the idea of you giving yourself a little hug, a psychic hug. So stop the tapping for a minute. Give yourself a little hug. Breathe in, filling that diaphragm up. Relaxing your hands down to your belly button. Bringing one hand up to your forehead. Breathe in. And then once again, go round the tops. You need to do this 3 times, bringing that, zipping that up and around and down. Last time, and on this last time, I am enough. I am worthy. I am a magical being of the light, just as this Creation itself is magic, so too am I. Anything out you need to blow out. I can't do this. If you have room to stand, then please do so. I'm just going to shake one side because it's easier where I'm working with this arm, but I'd like you to shake like we did in week 1. If you wasn't there for week 1, I think the taster session, which is up on the page you booked for, shows that. But you literally just let yourself shake. I'm just going to work with one arm, which I'm working for daily. As I said, I'm shifting one of the blockages in my arm. So if you've got somewhere in your body that you're working more, maybe some pain that's coming up for you, that you want to work alongside what you're already doing medically, as this will help now. You can open and expand. It's all there, so I need to move like this way. So just opening up, lifting up. For emotional intelligence, when we've got our arms up like this, we are not feeling vulnerable. So say, I am open and receptive to all good. And feel that. I'm open and receptive to all good. Say it out loud with me. I'm open and receptive to all good. I'm open and receptive to all good. If you're alone in a room, I want you to shout that. At the same time, feel as if you're like one of those muscle men. So you're feeling that strength, that core, that will, that I am presence, the Leo energy within you. I am open and receptive to all good. Open hands. I connect with my will through love. And if you can, put 3 fingers together and these 2, see, to represent the unification. I am open to my wisdom, my will, and my love. I connect in unison to the web that is this reality. I'm open and receptive to all good. Accepting of my shadows within through my wisdom, my will, and my love. And if you feel called to join me, I would just like to surrender the rest of my day and your day, or your now moment, whenever you're doing this, your evening, the situation in your life. This chant is Om Namo Narayani, and I will sing this to you 3 times. If you know it, please join in with me. Om Namo Narayani. Om Namo Narayani. Om Namo Narayani. And each week I wanted to practice with you one of the sounds. These are sounds from the Atlantean sounds. So Sanskrit is an ancient dialect, and this is like an offshoot of that. It's you think of it as different regional versions of a language. This was taught, they had different syllables. They had a hup. We'll do a whole episode on this, but I just each week I did the W, the wong sound with you. I like to do the N sound, N, which is a N, N-U sound, which means surrender to oneself and to giving of others. So allowing that sound to penetrate you. If you want to rewind that and listen to that again, just like I was talking about the theta, the beta, the frequency of things, that's tuning in to surrendering to the divine, surrendering to that, as I want the exact words, unification there. Oh, she says I just skipped the wrong. There we go. There we go. Just skipped the wrong page. So it's the letter N, and that comes from one of the sets we refer to as hum. And you might have heard hum